And we'll move forward to the next topic of discussion. How do you prepare for the workplace of the future? Now, before we get into this panel discussion, a small request to the students who are sitting behind. We know that this is an extremely valuable opportunity for you, but in case you want to head out, we request you to not do that in the middle of the panel discussion. As you know, we have a very eminent set of panelists that we've lined up for each discussion, so we hope that you will respect the ethics of this particular hall. So I request you not to move in and out of the hall during the panel discussion. Having said that, once again, ladies and gentlemen, the next topic of discussion is how do you prepare for the workplace of the future? Our set of panelists for this discussion include Ms. Rama Kirloskar, Managing Director, Kirloskar Ebara Pumps Limited, Mr. Parmesh Shahani, Head Godrej India Culture Lab, Mr. Dhruv Galgotia, CEO Galgotia University, Mr. Venguswamy Ramaswamy, Global Head ION TCS, and our chairperson for this discussion will be Mr. C. Velan, CEO and Managing Director, IT Park and Regional Head, Tata, Realty and Infrastructure. Big hand for our panelists as we welcome them on stage, please. This will be the final session before we break for lunch. A very, very interesting set of panelists who will lead this discussion. How do you prepare for the workplace of the future? I request all of you to kindly settle down so that we may begin. I now hand over the proceedings to our chairperson.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I briefly introduce my panel members. Mr. Swamy from TCS, Ms. Rama from Kirloskar, Mr. Dhruv from Galgotia University, Mr. Parmesh from Godrej team, and myself, Velan. See, we discussed to make this panel a little more interactive, as the topic is something not relating directly to education. If you look at the title of the panel is relating to the future workspace. How do you create the future workspace? Which has 3-4 dimensions. In my view, the first one is a physical and infrastructures of the workspace. The second one, what we feel is the resource and the skill set requirements. And the third is the talk of the day, since morning I'm saying, the technology and innovation. And the fourth and the most interesting, the way of working currently and the future is going to be informal way of working. These are the 4 dimensions we just took it up for the discussion today. And the eminent speakers in my panel are all from different segments. The first gentleman, Mr. Swamy, is from commercial office space technology provider, TCS. The second is that Rama is basically from industrial background, manufacturing. Dhruv is from educational background. And the fourth, Parmesh, is from Godrej, who is going to talk a little differently, which is on social workplace. So these 4 members will talk on the 4 areas we discussed. One is educational, technology, innovation, how it impacts on educational workspace, on industrial workspace, commercial office and technology office workspace, and public and social workplace. These are the 4 areas we are taking it today for the discussion. Initially, they will be speaking about the area of focus. And we want to go with more of interactive mode. For that, we are keeping sufficient timeline in the last. In any case, to introduce this topic, I have to speak something about future, means something must be in the past and current. If you look at the past, it used to be driven by manufacturing and generally commercial office space, corporate offices, banks, kind of thing. Over a period of time, last 1.5 decades, the services sector took the top seat, like IT, office, commercial office, BFSI segment, everything took. And equally, the educational sector has also parallelly growing. Manufacturing sector was also growing, but the top seat was always with the commercial sector. However, looking at the current and the future, definitely there is going to be a transformation in terms of the volume of space will come down, but that resources will be more skilled and there will be some sort of technology innovation. That is the only thing which is making the difference compared to the past and current and the future. So that is why we are going to talk typically how this technology innovation kind of areas are impacting on these 4 segments. So let me welcome Mr. Swamy, who is going to talk about the commercial office and IT and how this office space is being operated today with the technological background and how is it impacting in the business. Swamy, please.
Good afternoon. Thanks for the opportunity. I'll just give you a brief view from a TCS perspective, how we are looking at workplace of the future itself. Before I give you some views on this, I want to tell you what is driving this change in organization like ours. Very happy to share this in front of my professor who has joined this session today. Studied with him after a long gap, got this opportunity to meet with him as well. So there are 4 key aspects that are driving this change. Many, but 4 key things that we can think about. One is this imagination of mission-first thinking, right? The workplace is increasingly asking, is it required to be done by an individual or human being? Or should we give the first right of refusal to a mission itself? Right? That's significant paradigm change here because the customers are expecting productivity gains on a year-on-year basis. And how do we deliver these productivity gains? It's just not going to be feasible to do it through human hands. You have to look at beyond that and see what we can move it to machines and how do we give the opportunity to think in that direction. So that's one fundamental change that you as student or education institutions needs to keep in mind, that this is a significant change that's happening on the industry side, right? The second one is about this informality thinking, right? So many of us today go to conference rooms, they are getting replaced with bean bags probably, right? The workplace of the future is going to be very informal conversations in order to generate large ideas, impactful ideas, rather than very structured formal discussions and meetings. And how do you prepare the current generation to be in that setting and still deliver things that our customer expect to deliver in a formal fashion? So that's going to be a big driver that we see as well. The third one is again a significant change that we see is the systems that we are talking to are going to be self-learning systems in workplace. So based on how we behave today, the systems are behaving with us in a very different fashion tomorrow, right? And there are several examples of self-learning systems in learning itself, self-learning systems based on data that we share. There's good set of analytics driving the decisions, driving the systems to behave very differently from yesterday. And that's something which we will continue to see that. And the fourth one is interaction with intelligent assets. Now today, the assets with which we are interacting all have a name called IP address, and this IP address tracks or giving handle to interact with them very differently than what we see today. And whether you call it as IoT, whether you give any names, but fundamentally they all are intelligent assets that are interacting with us. So all the changes that we see in the workplace, we believe in the future is predominantly dominated by these 4 themes that we can clearly see. The questions as students, as educators that we need to ask is, are we preparing ourselves to deal with this very dominant change that we see in workplace? So that's one side of it. But it's also interesting to see what are the implications of these things and how do we prepare ourselves for the future workplace which is driven by these themes. From a TCS point of view, there are 5 changes that are happening within the organization in a very rapid speed. And in fact, many of the TCS offices, if you go and see, if you have seen a year before and you see these offices today, they look very different. In fact, we have a program where a project team can vacate on Friday and Monday the office space will look very, very different. It will look very agile, the lighting is different, the partition between teams are going to be very different. I don't know whether to call this as a person, someone sitting next to you may not be a human being, but it could be a monitor. And that monitor is streaming a video of a person who is working in, say, New Jersey. So you don't send an email and interact. Actually, you look this side and you interact with him, and the systems are picking up on a live basis. Today, email, I'm sure a lot of social discussions are happening, is not, in a technical language, it's not synchronous, it's asynchronous. We are looking at various different opportunities. So the workplace, from an infrastructure perspective, is rapidly changing. That's one implication. The processes and systems are changing dramatically, right? Our internal systems, if I have to do a travel ticket, for example, are getting more and more integrated. For example, my identity card, which I carry to enter into a TCS office in Mumbai, does not allow me to enter into an office in Chennai. But the moment I do a travel booking, it knows that I'm going to Chennai, it automatically gets enabled to enter into a Chennai office. The systems and processes are getting more and more integrated, and the workplace is redefining itself from this dimension as well. Right? The processes and systems. The third one is much closer to many of you here. The skill level is getting very, very different. A student who is a fresher coming into the organization is looking at very different types of skills, what we call as multi-X skills. And X here could be multilingual, could be an ability to deal with multicultural teams. A team is getting formed with a Japanese resource, a German resource, 2 Indian resource, and an American resource delivering to a project. And the set of things that you have to deal with is not in the realm of domain itself. It goes beyond the domain. And how do you deal with such kind of multi-X scenarios? A team which delivers to an ABN AMRO customer is sitting in Netherlands, is sitting in Latin America, is sitting in India, and they are all collaborating together in order to deliver an outcome for the customers. So this multi-X thinking from a skills perspective is getting very, very critical for us. The other aspect is about the structure, and the roles are changing very differently. That's a fourth implication that we are seeing. It is no longer a project manager, a project leader, a quality assurance team. These roles are merging to a coach, a new role called an agile coach, a new role called an agile engineer, and they all work on small pieces of code but get integrated together at a point in time. And these interactions are very, very different. He says that I have to go for a movie today. This is an interaction between a coach and the actual engineer who is developing a code. And he says that from 9 to 11 in the night I will work so that I can come back from the movie and complete this activity. This was never the case as an interaction between a project manager and a developer in the past. So the roles is more of a first among equals kind of context and not really hierarchical roles that we see in many places. These are some of the implications. The reason why it is important for all of us to understand is how well are we preparing the students to deal with such complexities, such changes in the workplace of the future itself, right? Many ideas, many experiments, we do it among ourselves in the organization itself, and it will be extremely valuable if academic institutions and other industries can take this as a mandate to prepare our students of the future for the workplace of the future itself. Thank you. Those are some initial comments. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much. It is like, work, live, play environment. That's what is predominantly that is happening as of date. And it is going to be much more informal working culture in the future. That's what it is. I like that concept. Let me welcome Rama to take it up on technology's impact on in manufacturing sector.
Good afternoon, everyone. I wanted to talk about how technology will play a very important role in the future of the industrial workplace. Currently, we have digital transformation going on. We have Industry 4.0 that encompasses a whole gamut of technologies, such as autonomous robots, IoT, augmented reality, additive manufacturing, cloud computing, big data, just to name a few. Let's take a look at how some of these technologies are going to streamline and transform our industrial workplace. For example, 3D printing. If we compare this to traditional foundry processes, the traditional foundry is not very clean. There's a lot of waste. It's very labor intensive and mostly employs low-skilled workers. When we move into 3D printing, it eliminates some of the processes that are very core to the traditional foundry, such as core making or molding. It also makes post-casting, machining, and fettling irrelevant. There's less waste as it's an additive process, not subtractive. And there's a reduction of people, but there would be higher skilled people. Also, it's a lot cleaner. Then if we move on to autonomous robots, we already have robot-assisted assembly lines in many industries, especially automotive. But eventually, we will be moving to collaborative robots. These robots will essentially be reading RFID tags on various components and get their instructions on what operations are to be performed on those components. So this would eventually result in better standard times, better quality, fewer low-skilled people. And since you have higher quality, you'd also require less quality managers to man the lines. The other important aspect is that you have visibility of your orders within your plant, which essentially translates into customer satisfaction, because the customer wants to know where his product is in your process, because it allows him to plan his activities accordingly. If we were then moving on to IoT or Internet of Things, it's essentially connecting your plant internally, but also your plant to your suppliers. It's essentially like having a connected ERP system. So imagine your supplier knowing your material levels in your store and supplying you material just in time. POs are raised automatically in the system. You reduce the number of people required in the finance team, the quality team, the purchase team. Vendor quality analysis happen automatically. And you also lower your inventory carrying costs. So I think that digital technologies are really going to streamline the current manufacturing processes. They're going to be less people, higher skilled people, and we need to skill our people in order to be able to run these highly customized robots in the plant. And I think that is how the digital transformation is going to turn these scruffy factory floors into more sophisticated, well-coordinated production systems. Thank you.
Thank you, Rama. In a way, if you look at it, today's education system, to the maximum extent, I'm seeing even this, not necessarily IITs and premier institutes, this 3D printing concept is being taught to that rural institutions. And I know the institution where I have physically visited recently, and I have seen that it is located somewhere in the remote place. See that the thinking in the educational system is going towards that, and that of course this is going to be definitely benefiting the students community in the long run, as I see this 3D advanced robo system, plus customizing this SAP or any kind of IT system between the customer and that manufacturer, which is also going to bring down the resource cost and also remove the wastages. The one interesting thing I noticed from you, Rama, is that advanced robotic arrangement in the foundry. It is really very interesting. Maybe the students can look at it somewhere, Googling or whatever, that go to the ground and see the factories and get to know. Thank you very much. And now I request Parmesh to take it up from the educational side. Yep.
It is truly a profound honor for being here for the second time at the Think Education Conclave, and I would like to thank the new EventXpress for having me here once again. Very good afternoon. Is it okay? Yeah. Very good afternoon to my eminent and distinguished panel members, ladies and gentlemen. Around the world, innovation in education is bringing fundamental changes to the classroom. Across India, we are seeing disruption in how lessons are taught. Who is doing that teaching, and what skills and areas of expertise are now considered essential? This change provides opportunities, and we now have more and more tools and knowledge than ever before. I believe that education is changing. Technologies like artificial intelligence, augmented reality, machine learning, quantum computing, and big data are helping us to understand our students and tailor our lessons to different learning styles and abilities. The reality is that there is still a long way to go to improve India's literacy rates and ensure that every child in our country has education as a basic human right. The urgent need to radicalize and transform the current education system remains in stark contrast with the change at which it is actually happening. To succeed in our new and disrupted economies, quality education must become a lifelong quest. And I feel that the government is now putting all the elements in place in taking Indian higher education to a world-class level. Successful platforms like Swayam have been introduced to keep pace with the technology, and Sabko Shiksha, Achhi Shiksha is now becoming a reality. Today, almost anyone can be a student, and with new technologies and new styles of learning, anyone can be a teacher too. This phenomenon will only gather pace as the knowledge economy grows, and the opportunities seem boundless. More interesting, perhaps, is the opportunity this new, more flexible style of learning is coming in developing economies. The gift of education to every Indian and making it more affordable should be a worthwhile goal in today's day and age. I will take it as a given that for most people, the perfect job is the one that takes the least amount of time and effort. And so with the introduction of these new technologies at the workplace, brought about a new era of globalization that fundamentally changed the way we work. Distances have become smaller by using But future changes to the workplace are going to be even more disruptive. And I believe that there are 3 key technologies that will change the way and shape our education workplace in the future. Artificial intelligence, mixed or augmented reality, and big data. These technologies will lead to a massive shift in our industry and the society as well. So what technologies can be used to prepare our students for the workplace of the future? I believe that there are 6 key points I'm going to cover. First one being the use of artificial intelligence. AI in classrooms have become imperative, and the effect of it has already been seen at workplace today. It is estimated that 50% of today's jobs across the world will be replaced by AI by the year 2050. Computers will go beyond mimicking people and invent new and better solutions, and that can be seen by Siri and Alexa. Many repetitive, data-driven, non-social tasks are already being automated. AI will lead to significant time savings, and one likely outcome is that they will begin to see a new diversification of job roles in the future. Time saved by new technologies will be filled with new tasks, many of which will be drawn from outside our traditional understanding of what a job should entail. As Rama mentioned 3D printing, I believe that 3D printing should be used in every university, if not in every classroom. Students can use 3D printing devices and make prototypes which save a lot of time and effort. And places like Dubai are already making skyscrapers with 3D printing technology. Cloud computing is the buzzing word these days. And with the Indian government introducing National Digital Library with 1.30 crore books, which can be accessed from anywhere in the world by just using a mobile phone, is already taking shape. Students don't need to carry those books to the universities. All they need is a handheld device where they can access their assignments, research work, and all relevant resources in cloud. Another new technology which is taking shape in China is biometric eye tracking. It is gaining recognition in universities. Earlier it was being used by advertisers to see how many or what makes an advertisement interesting. The same technology can be used by lecturers, by faculty, to understand how a student is learning, where his eye movements are. If he's concentrating on a particular topic, if he's gazing at it, that means he needs more effort there, so the faculty can cover it again. These technologies, by studying the eye movement patterns, are gaining in recognition. I think to cater to this fast-paced generation, game-based learning has been introduced in several universities. Students of our generation are using Snapchat, Facebook. They are exposed to PlayStation, motion sensing technology. And I think questions can be framed in a game-based format so that learning can be more effective and fun. And lastly, virtual and augmented reality will change the education landscape and medical landscape. Imagine a neurosurgeon who's going to remove a tumor from a brain, wears Google eyeglasses, and he will know exactly before operating what are the sensitive areas so that he can remove the tumor easily with the support of those glasses. This can increase life expectancy. This is the power of augmented reality. The future of workplace will change at a rapid pace, and universities that miss that trend will eventually have to perish and fall behind. As we enter this new year, India is at a threshold of change and is looking ahead to an eventful, dynamic, and resurgent 2018. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Of course, there is a real transformation taking place in the educational institutions in terms of using technology in the recent past. And definitely it is going to be the future. And I have, listened to his conversation, his briefing. One thing is for sure, even office working, today personalized gadgets, the working space is getting reduced. There used to be 100 square foot per person kind of working space used to be the requirement. It is office space itself is getting removed. That's a scenario it is. But the need for the skilled resources, it's not going to get reduced. See, you may have to see, maybe the physical assets coming down, but the skilled resources requirement will go up because the way the demand and that Make in India, all those things are happening in India, definitely there is going to be a skill requirement, not necessarily physical asset expansion to that extent of what is that happening today or in the past. Like for example, physical assets, commercial office or any building, it used to have a growth rate of about 10 to 12% year on year. Now it is going to come down. Already we have seen 2016, it has come down almost to two-thirds of what used to be, it's one-third of what it used to be. So it is going to be reduced physical asset requirement, but at the same time, skill set requirement is increasing year on year. That's where it is. Parmesh, we are waiting for the video as well as your briefing on the social workspace, how this technology is going to be having impact.
Sure. So first of all, thank you so much for having me here. It's a pleasure. I'm going to start off by showing you a little video of one of the things that we've done this year through the Godrej India Culture Lab, which is an experimental space that we've been running at our Godrej headquarters for the past 6 years. It's one of the two things that I want to talk about, which I believe that the workplace of the future is going to reflect. So if you can please have the video, and then I'll just make some comments. Yeah? Thanks. So this was a small, you can clap. You can clap for everything. Also clap for that. I just saw what lunch is going to be outside. It's very, very yummy. Should we clap for that? No, thank you. This is just one of the many things that we've been doing for the past few years at the Godrej India Culture Lab. And it's one of the two things that we believe that the workplace of the future should be. So firstly, we believe that the workplace of the future should be a playground for ideas, a playground for innovation. I'll tell you a little bit more about the lab. But the second thing that we believe that the workplace of the future should be is an inclusive workspace, a liberal workspace and an inclusive workplace. Let me tell you first about the first thing, playground of ideas. We started the lab 6 years ago thinking, what if we can create an open platform within our headquarters, not just for our employees, but also for citizens of the city and of the country to come and share ideas. The broad premise was, what does it mean to be modern and Indian? India is changing at such a rapid pace. You've been hearing since the morning about some of these changes. These changes are not just technology, it's also culture, it's also society. How can we create an open open-ended conversation around some of these changes, around some of the most vital issues in our country, whether it's caste, whether it's language, whether it's gender, whether it's sexuality, whether it's inequality, whether it's urbanization, and so on. So the lab is, in a sense, a freewheeling, open-ended conversation where we bring experts from across different fields. These are across academia, these are across policy, these are creative professionals, these are sometimes from business as well, and we engage with each other in a meaningful conversation around these broad themes. We're format agnostic, so some of our things could be panel discussions like you see here, some of them could be museums. So the video you saw is actually a pop-up museum. For 3 days in August, we created a temporary museum to mark 70 years of partition. You know, in August, we all celebrated 70 years of independence, but independence was accompanied with a tremendous amount of violence and displacement. And so we created a mini museum for 3 days in the city of Mumbai with 14 art exhibits and about 21 panels and performances, all examining partition from different places, including so many panelists, speakers, etc., from Pakistan and Bangladesh as well. It was very, very meaningful. It was very, very beautiful. If you go on our website, you can see all these videos as well as the 3D walkthrough through the museum as well. I urge you to go see it. So our format isn't important. What is important is that we keep on having these conversations. And we really believe that young people, people of today, spend most of their lives in their workplaces, right? Mostly you go through school giving a series of exams in this terrible funnel, 10th, 12th. Unfortunately for most people, it's JEE. And then if you are here and you're in the corporate world, you have to give some MBA entrance exam. So by the time you actually enter your workplace, your mind is full of giving quite ridiculous exams. And then you come to the workplace. So we believe a workplace should be the workplace where you have knowledge, where you actually have knowledge of the humanities. We've been hearing from the morning as well how important the humanities are because they encourage ambiguity, they encourage critical thinking. These are things that our engineering and MBA programs unfortunately don't teach us even today. So we believe the workplace of the future should be a place where people come and learn, people come and share, people come and interact. And it is through these interactions that then they will be able to be more innovative, be able to contribute more to their companies, and then hopefully to society at large, and so on. When we started this lab, there were so many questions. What does it mean to have an open-ended conversation? Why should a company be doing things like this? What does it mean to create a playground for the city and for the country? Very, very random. I'm happy to say that over the past few years, all these questions have been answered. Godrej employees themselves have become so much more have become so much more productive. We can see that. There are several innovations that we can trace just to the presence of the lab. The way we recruit, for example, and our focus on LGBT, which I'm going to talk to you about. Just to give you two small instances, it's helped us seriously in recruiting some of the brightest and sharpest minds, because I also recruit on campuses all across the country for the Godrej group. And because we have something like the Culture Lab, and because we do the kind of things that we do, which I'm going to talk to you about in a while, in terms of equality for our LGBT citizens, it's really helping us get the best minds to the company as well. And it's generated an incredible amount of goodwill for the company, because again, our premise is that we have great challenges in our world. If you look at water, if you look at sanitation, if you look at inequality, if you look at all of these. Now, these challenges cannot be met by governments alone, or by corporates, or by NGOs, or by concerned citizens. We believe that the world has reached a place where we all need to, in a sense, go beyond our boundaries to collaborate creatively and solve some of these challenges. So we believe the workplace of the future has a very, very important role in empowering these kinds of collaborations, and that can only come when you actually be a space where knowledge is shared, where knowledge is created, and where we encourage everyone to think critically, right? So the first thing about the workplace of the future is that it should be a playground for knowledge, for ideas, and to empower people to then take what they've learned and collaborate with others. And the second, and is really fundamental to the way we're going to think about the future, is that it has to be an inclusive workplace. And by, there's various kinds of inclusion. Most corporates tend to think of gender as one, and we have so much work to do in this in India as well. I'm going to give you an example of something we've done around LGBT. Now, LGBT stands for lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender. These days, it's also used for, we add QIA, Q for queer, I for intersex, and A for allies. Allies include heterosexual people who believe that LGBT rights are everyone's rights as well. And we decided some years ago that we were going to widen our net of inclusion to include LGBTI inclusion as well. And it's been an amazing journey for us. We started by saying that we will have a very simple, our non-discrimination policy should not discriminate against anyone based on something as simple and actually as beautiful as who you choose to love. But over the past few years, we've become more and more, we've articulated this further and further, whether it's in same-sex partner benefits, whether it's in equality in absolutely everything, insurance, and so on. And whether it is in advocacy at public events, whether it is in advocacy on other campuses, whether it is in a firm commitment from, say, the top, from the chairperson downwards, that these are values that we stand by. And it's been an amazing journey. In a sense, we are very proud that we are one of the few Indian companies which is very, very firm and committed to championing LGBT equality. What's given us great happiness over the past 6 years is how many other Indian companies have joined us on the way as well. So, so Tata's, for example, were part of a big think-a-thon that we did recently where they committed and so on, and it's been absolutely amazing. That, everyone has said that, inclusion is something that we stand by, and we are all going to create inclusive workplaces. It harks back to what I said earlier about your workplace being the place where you come to learn. And so if your workplace has values that it espouses, then those are the values that the employees will practice in their lives, will share with other people, and that's also how the country changes bit by bit. Again, our focus on diversity and inclusion, specifically LGBT, has had tremendous impact, including amongst straight people as well, or heterosexuals. So many times when we go to college campuses, we reassure them. Actually, the one good thing is that a lot of, because we are inclusive, a lot of straight people also want to come to work for us because they believe that, now in India, in 2018, everyone knows someone who's either LGB or T, and they don't want to work for a place that discriminates against their friends, their brothers, their sisters, their colleagues. And we reassure all the straight people that we go to when we recruit that we will treat them equally. So we have same-sex partner benefits even for straight people. So, and I think that's, it's good fun. You can laugh if you happen to be straight. It's okay, we'll treat you the same, and that's what we tell them as well. It's really, really made a difference to the kind of people we recruit. It's made a difference to the kind of atmosphere that we are able to create within the group. It's made our employees proud that we stand up for something and we speak out for something. And that, in a sense, we're all not coming to office, just to create products or services or now experiences, but we are actually coming to office to speak up for values that we believe in, to create a better society and a better India. So I think young people, millennials and post-millennials, are not searching for higher pay packages or other things. They're actually searching for meaning. And a workplace of the future is a workplace which gives meaning to people's lives. And meaning can often come from being committed to a certain set of values. So that's what I'm going to leave y'all with, this idea of a meaningful workplace. Thank you so much for being here.
It's really interesting to understand technology and innovation is one part. There is another part which is a socio, environmental, and behavioral part of focus for the young generation. I just to highlight one important thing, what he was also mentioning, is Tatas are also into focusing on diversity and inclusion is a must for our existence in this business. That's how the Tatas and Godrej kind of groups are focusing. One important message I want to convey to this based on the discussions right now, the youngsters, the students, are all very good in terms of their academic and technological advancements. There is no doubt about it. But there is something which is also to be looked at, which is going to be the serious thing for the future, which is on the behavioral part. Behavioral part, what I mean is that are the soft skills. Not necessarily technical skills, that and all are provided by. But many institutions are focusing on the behavioral part, which is the value system, culture, adaptability. All those things are going to be the crucial things for the younger generation to get into. That will help along with the technology and innovation, and you will succeed. And whatever we are today, and it is going to be multifold in the near future. That's where I just put it. And we will go for the Q&A. Before you ask some question, I have one question for two of them, and the two of them will answer after a few questions from you. What is that a significant proposal that you would be interested to bring in to create that workspace is a great future, like, a great workspace, like, in every sector? Maybe you can start with Parmesh.
Sure. So I have just one thing. All of you will be in meeting rooms at some point. And then all of you are going to suggest a radical idea that can change the world. And there will always be someone. Now, listen to this carefully. It's mostly a middle-aged or an older man who says this, who will, with a well-meaning smile, raise his hand and say, "Let me play devil's advocate for a moment." Have you all faced this before in your life? Yeah, Hannah? It's always some insecure middle-aged or old man who says this. So my proposal is, at any institution, workplace, family, if anyone raises their hand and say, "Let me play devil's advocate for a moment," everyone should say, "Shut up, let's not play devil's advocate for a moment." Because this devil's advocate idea shuts down so many innovative things. You're laughing, maybe you faced it as well at Tata. Tata is full of old men who play devil's advocate, no? But that's the point. I'm saying my point, as are all companies. I'm sure the new Indian Express too. I think something that kills innovation is when you crush an idea with this devil's advocate. Now, who are these people who are playing devil's advocate? These are mostly insecure people who are afraid of the future. So what you should say, my only proposal is that when the workplace of future is about ideas and innovations, tell all these people who are playing devil's advocate to shut up. Say, no, don't play devil's advocate. You can be an angel of innovation, an angel of good ideas. We have too many devils in this world. We need cool angels. That's my idea.
It's a great idea. We have to coin a word called angel's advocate now. Right? Well, I just want to pick up on what Parmesh said. See, one of the techniques by which we deal with such scenarios, what Parmesh referred to as a devil's advocate, is to use a technique which Dr. De Bono suggested, a six-hat thinking. Because end of the day, one group of people will argue that there is a value in that devil's advocate. Because in any discussions, we also want to understand what are the risks in that and how do you manage the risks. There's nothing wrong about it in my view. But the challenge is when you put a spoke in the wheel with a devil's advocate view, that's where we get a challenge. So what we are suggesting, and we do it in many meetings in TCS, that what is your black hat thinking, and we restrict people to suggest all of those suggestions, but do not allow them to intrude when there is a green hat thinking which is focusing on innovation, ideas, and generation of new thinking. We simply say, we don't need a black hat, we don't need a devil's advocate at this point in time. This is a session for only a green hat thinking. So there is a very interesting way by which we deal with that, because as a corporate, we just cannot blind eye to a devil's advocate as well, but there are interesting mechanisms by which we can deal with that, right?
Question to that team over here. Yeah, please. Yep.
Go first. This question is to Mr. Parmeshwar. From your video and from the talks, I understand that you have given too much emphasis for accommodating the LGBT, the special category, LGBT.
Not accommodating, including and celebrating.
Including. I'm coming to that. Okay. But when you are proud of saying that you are an inclusive organization, but neither in the video nor in your talk, I didn't find any mention about the physically challenged people or the senior citizens or the ladies on the family way, children grooming inside the office so that the new mothers can work together. These things I don't find.
So sure, it's all there. We had like a limited number of time, and I really used the video to make this point about the workplace of the future. But us, I would say Tata's, I would say Kirloskar, Galgotia, any progressive company at this time looks at inclusion, looking at it as a spectrum. So there is daycare, there are programs and everything, and it's something that I think any sensible company, I mean, there are 2 old companies on this, well, 3 Kirloskar, and how old is Kirloskar? 130. Yeah, 130. Yeah, and it's 3 companies over 100 years. I mean, to thrive over 100 years, you have to be inclusive at some sense. So we are all on those inclusive journeys. So if you want to learn more, you can either chat with me afterwards or go to our website. All of it is up on it. But I will assure you that we are committed to the spectrum of inclusion. Yeah.
Just fine.
Yeah.
Because what we see only what we get. So from that only.
Okay. Hari, just want to mention, this is even in your own city of Chennai. If you go to see that Ramanujan IT city, if you look at it, the mother, child care, even in that common, this is internationally, what I can say, acceptable level. We have expat children there and national and employees children there working together, playing together. These are all the things that quite commonly put in place even in our Tata group or any other campuses today. And this is inclusion is order of the day. There is nothing, we can talk special about it, but it is need of the hour which is there already. Yep, thanks.
Thank
please.
You.
Yep.
All of you spoke about intervention of technology in the workplace. Do you think that will jeopardize the employment levels of human beings?
Can I? I'll.
See, this is a very interesting question. There is a long debate that's going on in public domain. Will mission first kill jobs in this country, right? Or will this technology remove jobs in this country? We in TCS have a very different view. The best way to articulate this is you go back 15 years, 20 years back, right? And the job levels at that point in time, and the technology has been introduced in many ways. Are the jobs gone today? The answer is no, the jobs have grown today. And the same is true. Technology as it comes in, tomorrow if you have a driverless cars, there is going to be an alternate need for this skill, for this resource to do something which is maybe a floating car. Discussions can start at that point in time, which has already actually started. But the point which I want to make here is this is like air filling up the space, right? Yes, it is empty, so air goes and fills up that. Tomorrow it will create more set of opportunities for students and educators and all of us to think beyond where we are today. And that's the nature, and that's how it is going to work.
Yeah, I'll just add to that. I think with technology, there will be a new set of skills which are going to be required. Artificial intelligence will replace jobs, but it cannot replace human creativity. It cannot replace human emotions. They can be, machines cannot be accountable. So I think with introducing new technologies, there'll be new set of work skills which are going to be required. And there is no end to problems of the world. So if humans get assigned to solving problems, they'll have a lot of work in hand.
Rama, you want to add something?
I'd like to add to that as well. I feel that we have all these new technologies coming up. I had mentioned a few earlier. And we need to look at these as tools to enhance productivity and scale up just about any sector in this country. And we need to understand how to cross-pollinate that from manufacturing. For example, why aren't we using autonomous robots for scaling up our textile industry? Making them more competitive. Today we have power looms, but we're not able to produce the same kind of motifs or designs that the hand looms can. There's augmented reality. Tourism can really be a huge revenue generator for India. Why aren't we using augmented reality for bringing about awareness for wildlife conservation? So I think it's about our creativity and how we apply these technologies to other sectors, because I understand that not everybody is going to be interested in manufacturing or engineering, but why don't we scale up the other sectors to give others an opportunity to grow in areas that they have their skill sets?
In summary, technology enhances the job opportunities. Yeah, next question, please. Go ahead.
Hi. I've been waiting to ask that question for a long time, but I'm going to get to that. It's not really a question, it's more of a proposition which I would formulate as a question. So I represent Techno India Group and Techno India University in West Bengal, and we have a rather large group with lots of colleges and universities, but also schools. Now, we have about 19 schools, and I'm very interested in the educational sector in general. One of my foremost idols would be Mr. Elon Musk, the guy who started Tesla and PayPal and SolarX, as you might already know. And he has 5 children, right? And very recently he was asked at an interview, why did you not send your kids to traditional schools? And he said that I believe that there is no university, school, college present in the world right now which is capable of tackling the problems of today and especially tomorrow, because we do not know what's happening tomorrow. It's predicted that singularity is going to be a reality by 2035. That fast, we're looking at it. A human mind and a computer is going to be connected that soon. So here's my proposition. It was, first of all, to Mr. Parmesh, that was, I love the fact that it was how uncomfortable you made a lot of people in the room, as well as how awe-inspiring that video was. What I would like to term this as a proposition is that how can we work together to create similar culture labs to start off this process of inclusion and working with your hand and working on the idea of creating angels of innovation from very young age at the school level. We have 19 schools with an approximate number of 2,000 to 2,500 students in each school, which is already a rather large chunk of the younger cadre of students that you could have in the state of West Bengal. And my proposition is this: how do we work together on creating that platform?
So actually, there's many things you can do. I mean, I'm happy to come and see what you're doing and help. We've created the Culture Lab more as an exemplar out of Mumbai. Our hope is that other companies, other institutions, others follow this. We're not in the business of scale. For us, we don't think scale as in having 5,000 culture labs is the answer, but maybe creating one really excellent culture lab that then you all can replicate in whatever ways that you want would be a good answer. I'd say there's enough resources for you to do free. I also happen to be a TED Senior Fellow, and Elon spoke at the last TED on Vancouver. There's enough TED Talks that you can show these kids for free. Your schools and colleges can organize TEDx conferences.
We already do that.
Yeah. The fact of organizing a TEDx conference itself is so inspiring, because in the process of curation, in the process of working, the process of seeing so many TED videos and deciding which ones you want to play and which speakers you want, you get those skills of collaboration, of empathy, of inclusion, of what to come amongst school children and college students, etc. There's enough resources, whether it's on Coursera, there's so much open courseware out there that you can already use. So I think for now, we have this... Pardon? I didn't hear that word. Oh, anyway. So there's so much abundance out there in terms of stuff out there that you can actually use. So there shouldn't be an excuse. There's material out there that you can use. There are resources that all of us have that you can tap into. So I think, but I think you've hit it spot on. I think if Elon has his way, it's not going to be 2035. I think it'll be like, in the next 5 or 6 years. He's in a big hurry. Yeah. So there's a lot that you can do in order to empower these kids to catch up.
Yep.
Yeah.
Thanks so much.
Thank you. One last question, please. Yep.
My name is Balaji. My question to Mr. Swamy. So, Tata Consultancy Services into education now, in the name of TCS Ion. You are providing training for retail, colleges as well as school. So how it will help for placements, for college students?
Very tactical question. See, first of all, every education or everything that we try to do, to a large extent we are trying to see how it can be linked to a job to a large extent. But I just want to add to what Parmesh mentioned to the previous question. We also believe that it is incorrect to say that, look, everything cannot be moved back to the education institution and say, when you give a resource, he should be well cooked for the industry and nothing that we want to add on to it, and he should directly go and deliver to the customers. That's a wrong thinking. You can move certain distance, they can come certain distance, and we all can create the right set of people who are good for the future workplace. To answer your question, we are doing our bit. We are asking education institutions to do their bit so that when the product comes out of this education institution, they are better placed to be a good professional in the working place. And that's the goal with which we are trying to.
Can I just add to one? I know you're looming and you're like looking at us like that and lunch is served. But I think if you want to teach people one important skill, it is of empathy. Because for this new world that we're all living in, whether it's an empathy in understanding artificial intelligence and Siri, I mean, I've tried saying nasty things to Alexa, which is my Amazon Echo service. Oof, she gets very angry, right? I'm saying that this empathy in how to deal with technology, empathy in how to deal with each other's, empathy in how to imagine difference across these geographical spaces that you were talking about. One engineer in New Jersey, one engineer in Chile, and someone in India. And there's enough also free work out there on empathy. So if you look at Ashoka is doing a lot of amazing programming that it's putting up free that you can see. Kiranbir Sethi in Ahmedabad at the Riverside School has created something called Design for Change. This is particularly for you since you have so many schools in Bengal. You can download the Design for Change curriculum absolutely free, and it's a program that is used to how to teach young people how to collaborate and how to have empathy. So there's enough that you can do. As he said, just go out there, tap into these resources, and really connect the dots and create these skills for yourselves and for others. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you very much. A big hand, ladies and gentlemen, for our wonderful panelists. A lot of interesting points coming out from this particular discussion. I request Mr. Prabhu Chawla to kindly join us on stage and present each of them with a memento. I just want to say that the term devil's advocate took on a whole new meaning, and everyone will remember that for a long time to come. Thank you very much for providing a lot of insights. Thank you. A big, big thanks to Mr. Parmesh Shahani. Mr. Venguswamy Ramaswamy, thank you very much for joining us. Mr. C. Velan. Ms. Rama Kirloskar. And Mr. Dhruv Galgotia. Thank you very much. We'll just take a little bit more of your time for a quick photo opportunity. Thank you.